Tonight, in a special episode of The Greenhouse Season 2, the 6 members of the jury will meet and discuss the final 4. Who's in the lead? What questions remain for the finalists? Which lies do the jurors still believe? How will the jury react to the 5th place elimination, Maddie? All this and more tonight on the Jury Roundtable episode of The Greenhouse Season 2.
Alright, hello. Wow, I'm Thomas and we are going to have a jury roundtable. We started this 2 seasons ago just to have an opportunity for jury members to get things off their chest, one, to clarify different things with other jury members, and to kind of strategize on what questions we want to ask the jury so that we can form our best judgment to choose the winner of the next season. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So let's just start with, is there anything that, just in general, that anyone wants to bring up immediately? Like it has been pressing on your heart the last few hours. Any immediate concerns?
Do you know who lied to me? 2 people voted for me, but that was not what was discussed. So I'm wondering if anything came to light once.
I genuinely don't know the definite answer to that.
Okay.
I can guess that it was probably Brody, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I think that's my initial guess as well.
Yeah.
And I will find out. I was just curious if you knew.
No, I don't know.
Why do you think that happened? What was your thought? What did you think was going into that vote?
Why that happened that way?
But what did you think the vote was going to be?
We had discussed that it would be that Brody and Clay were going to vote for Maddie to be out.
Gotcha. Do you feel like you were in an alliance with Brody and Clay? Mm-hmm. To what degree? Talk to me.
I was in an alliance with Brody, Clay, and Johnny.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Like a final 4, you 4? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Anything else?
Well, Brody was in the final 4 with me, Patrick, and Maddie. So there's that.
So that's a good reason to think that it was him.
Brody's got 2 final 4s.
Right.
Was anyone else surprised by their own, by their count that want to open that floor for discussion? Does that make sense?
By their what?
Your vote count,
like when you were eliminated,
the count
of votes.
I was completely shocked.
Were you?
Yeah, that's why I flipped a fucking table.
Right.
Right.
No, I was not shocked. I do have one question. I'm curious to know, actually how loyal Johnny was to me. I mean, I didn't, if he wasn't, then I don't know about it. But, yeah.
Who do you think he would be more loyal to?
At some point, he became more loyal to Brody. Or at least Brody became more loyal to him. And I guess that's my question. I know that Brody and him made some sort of alliance. And I'm just curious as to whether Johnny, I know he voted against me, but I would have done the same thing.
Yeah. Question for all of you. Do you think that forming more transient alliances is, one, necessary to go farther into the game, but also still a valid form of alliance? Does that make sense? Does a transient alliance that keeps you going from one round to another, how does that compare to an alliance that someone may have made at the beginning of the game to kind of get through the entire game?
Yeah, I think you have to, right? So my situation was, I was obviously very loyal to Lily because I was one of the 2 people that voted to keep her in. But as soon as she was out, I then had to really solidify, okay, I have a different alliance now. I have to, it has to change as people get eliminated. And I think what Brody is doing seems to be the right way to play the game if you decide that you want to play the game as a liar, which is fine. You can't. I mean, it's up to. I mean, it's up to you. Like I very well. There was no reason for me to vote to keep Lillian, because we knew the majority was going to go the other way.
Same.
But
Well, but we didn't. Because Brody didn't use his. So if you had to use
but to mine, I mean, what I'm saying.
But it was possible.
Yeah.
Because Brody didn't use his, so if you and Johnny had used your vote, all your vote, then I could have stayed in.
Yeah, I mean,
Which you didn't obviously you didn't have to, you don't need, like,
I thought that I was being loyal.
Right.
I guess I didn't fully understand what was happening, or like I couldn't predict what other people were going to do, but I also gave my banked vote to Johnny.
Yeah.
That's
what I was trying to tell y'all though, because like it was totally up to you and Johnny, because everyone was like, well, you know, what's so and so gonna? I said, it doesn't matter. It's all down to Kaitlyn and Johnny. If they vote for me, I'm out. If they don't vote for me, I'm in. That's it. You do have the number. You know what I mean? You do have the numbers, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Well, Johnny told me right before that he wasn't voting for you. So, but anyway, I felt like after Lily got out, I don't know if I had any like really fully formed alliances. I thought that I did, but like everybody else had a stronger alliance with somebody else than they did with me.
Right. Okay, a new segment. What do we value in a winner? What are some qualities of gameplay that you find important? It doesn't have to be as a group.
I guess like the smallest number of people that you had to burn and get there.
yeah, I think honesty and hard work. I think that there are people that are in the top. Was it 5? Is it 5?
It's 5 right now.
Five right now.
That are in the top 5 that have proven that they're lying and scheming to get to the top, which is just not a good lesson for the children. And then there's
And this
also
famously is a youth television program.
Exactly.
you know, and then also there are people that have done nothing
Right.
and are there.
Who do you think? Who fits in both of those categories to you?
I think for me, those two people are Brody and Maddie.
You think Brody? Oh, like Brody in the first category and Maddie in the second category?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why would you say that Maddie has done nothing? I don't think Maddie was actively involved in decisions to keep her. I think the vote.
I think she flew under
People
the
just
radar.
ultimately decided to vote other people out, but it had nothing to do with any reasoning that she did. Because most of the time she was in conversation, she was like, "I'll just do whatever you want,"
Yeah.
which is, good game, I guess. But I mean, she didn't really like actively have any. She didn't really have any say in her fate. People just decided not to eliminate her. You know what I mean? She didn't make any deals to save herself. You know, that I know of. I mean, when I was there.
Yeah.
Which I still think is definitely better than. I mean, personally, I think it's better than lying. But it's.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just can't say necessarily that she didn't like, or to my knowledge, she didn't really orchestrate any like strong alliance to keep herself there. She just happens to still be there. You know what I mean?
You go right.
Do you see it differently?
100%.
How do you see it?
Well, I mean, Maddie was a strong alliance member for me and Patrick throughout the whole game. She was in the greenhouse twice, so I don't know. I mean, she's kind of like me in the sense that she's more quiet and not that social, but I think to say that she didn't do anything and she floated is not necessarily a fair judgment on her games.
Yeah.
I guess my thing is we had several opportunities to vote her out and we just decided, man, let's just vote somebody else out.
Yeah, I guess just from my perspective, it seemed like people weren't voting for her because she doesn't seem like a threat. So like, you know, having not been in an alliance with her, yeah, I mean, it just seemed like, it was like, okay, well, let's just keep her in because,
Right, like when
Yeah.
she was in the bottom, it wasn't like because of her own wheeling and dealing that she escaped the bottom. It was because the group decided on somebody else, it seemed like, but it wasn't necessarily like her. I don't know, it didn't like seem like her active side like saved her. It was just like, we just decided to go after someone else. Does that make any sense? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, do you think that, this is like, just in general, do you think that a person that kind of stays under the radar, doesn't seem as a threat, but still has like strategic or social interaction with like a choice few players, is that still valuable?
Well, I think that that's different than what, like, to me, that would be Laura. And yes, for a lot of reasons, because it's effective, also because it's like really intimidating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's different than like what it seems like Maddie's role in the game was.
Okay.
I kind of go back to the point that you made about how you would prefer someone, I guess, that kind of floated rather than lied. And I kind of disagree, only because everybody that's in the final 5, for the most part, have lied. So it's worked out in their best interest. Obviously, it hasn't worked out for us because we're sitting here. But, I mean, I'll admit I lied, you know, to get my way or to save myself. And I think I don't really see it as a negative, almost, because they are where they are for a reason. And that's one of the reasons is they didn't play a transparent game.
Yeah.
And they like had alliance members that they were tight with. I feel like I never really had alliance members. I never like sat down with someone and was like, yeah, final 4, final 2 or whatever. But that's just kind of my take.
Did Clay like double cross anybody? Did you not get burned by Clay? Like he?
I got
absolutely.
burned.
Did he say
Yeah.
he wasn't going to vote for you?
Yeah, totally.
No, that didn't happen. He didn't like lie about something, but Victoria and I were up against each other, and I put in an uproot to save myself. And he was afraid that the person who nominated me, if I uprooted myself, was going to then nominate him. So he outbid me for uproot, and he wasn't nominated. And he still didn't vote for me, or to stay. And I thought that was kind of shitty. I mean, it's like, I get it. Fair enough. But, you know.
Yeah.
I was like...
I want to talk about lying eventually, but first to ask Lily a pointed question. How... Your vote, if I remember, it was 2-7. Who do you, where were the 2 votes to keep you?
Clay and Victoria.
Wrong.
Really?
I voted to keep you.
Really?
Yeah.
So, Victoria, did you vote to keep Lily? So those are your 2 votes. Let's talk about lying.
Okay, great.
Okay. So this is a social strategy game, right? Clearly there are like alliances and deals and loyalty to be proven, I guess. But I think lying and like giving false comfort in order to make a move is absolutely necessary to the game. Would we agree or disagree? Yes?
Yes.
Where's the line between like lying to further your game and further your alliance versus maybe lying just to be a little messy? Where is that line for y'all?
And did you see any examples of maybe both?
Yeah, I guess I feel like some people started that parade kind of immediately with like a double agent. You know, play both sides of the fence, and some people, like obviously when you get down to like final set, like 6 or 7, that's like more and more essential. That like if you don't, like you're obviously gonna be, you know what I mean? Like there comes a point like I feel like you have to start lying, but some people like right off the bat are like,
Who do you think came out the gate?
I mean, I think Brody is very smart. I think Brody always plays both sides of the fence. And I think Patrick very early on was playing both sides and gathering intel from both sides and then deciding what was best for his game. And I know Carlin was back and forth.
I have an example to bring up. So When you're the very first round, Lily is trying to use the Venus flytrap. Brody is lying to the other side of the house, saying that Lily is just collecting coins to do an uproot, right? That is a lie, right? But is it like a lie in order to, like, what form of lie is that, basically?
I don't know. I didn't ask him to. He just came
Right.
He was like, I just told them this. I was like, okay.
But is that necessarily, like, malicious in nature, or is it in order to kind of, like, edge a situation into a certain
I don't
direction?
think it was malicious. I think it was in favor of us because, you know, if people were seeing Lily gather coins, then they were thinking that it was for an uproot, and
Right.
you know, so it was to like keep our thing going without other people knowing about it.
The challenge for me is always figuring out like when did it go too far in a direction that didn't seem like something that you would want to vote for in a winner. Does that make sense?
I think
So-
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think telling people that you're in an alliance with them when you're not
Mhm.
is.
You think that's-
for me, yeah,
Yeah.
because then at a certain point, like, so say I were to come back and play this game again, I wouldn't trust a single person that I talked to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the first time I played.
Sure.
Now I'd be like, every single person, we're in an alliance together, right? And so then you have the whole game of everyone is lying.
Mhm.
Everyone is lying. And then you're like, then it's almost like you'd have no alliances because everyone is lying.
Mhm.
So it's like a little bit different than when like I did feel like I had an alliance, like, and ours was like, I think a little bit more unspoken just because we were working together, but never, it wasn't like when I talked to Johnny and Brody and Clay, and it wasn't like that because we were just working together. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna, in my mind, like I'm gonna have Kaitlyn's back. Now, when it came down to it, and I knew that I wasn't, like I was gonna have to choose my ally, who was Johnny, like I did end up coming and being like, I don't, like it's not, you know. And when you said like I'm not gonna, like I'm not gonna win, I'm like you know, and it's like I or I'm not gonna, or I'm gonna leave. And I'm like I mean I it's hard to like say that to somebody that like, hey, listen, I have to, like, now I have to vote you out.
Right.
But I think that that's when it's...
But it gets to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets to
and
that point.
at that point, you have, and you're not at risk, you should just be, like, I asked Laura, and Laura was just immediately like, yeah, you're going home. And I'm like, it's a relief to that person. You don't have anything to lose by telling that. So why would you be like, oh, but no, I'm going to vote for you, and like give that person false hope when there's no stakes for you at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah, no one did that for me.
Exactly.
That was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody lied to me.
Yeah.
I think it's different for your case specifically, though, because the vote was so close, right? Yours was a 2-3 vote.
Which, right,
And yours
towards
too.
the end,
Yours
I was like...
2-1.
2-1.
Once we were sitting down and no one would look me in the eye, I was like, okay, it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was a 3-2 vote, I was like, I was thinking it would be unanimous.
Right.
So I was kind of shocked by that.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been absolutely floored if, like, because for that specific round, I'm just so naive. I'm so naive. If I ever played this game again, it'll be different. But, like, if that would have happened to me, I would have been absolutely like, what?
Yeah. And that's how I felt with mine. But mine felt like I don't think it was 3 people conspiring, which I could be wrong. I think it was a backstabbing situation of he said, yeah, I'm going to do this, and then didn't.
Yeah.
I could be wrong still. I don't know that that's the case.
Well, didn't you say that he had a Final Four alliance with Maddie? Brody did?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he
That's what he said.
Right. Well, he also had one with...
Right.
Right.
Had one with me. I'm kidding.
I mean, I think ideally, if you can get through it without necessarily promising people an alliance, I don't know. I feel like that's not as bad when you vote against them. Because like there were plenty of people where we said, for this round, I'm going to vote with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, where we just said that, where we were like, yeah, this time, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'll vote with this person with you. Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they weren't like, ride or die, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
that kind of
And I
Blood
think,
oath
you know,
taking. Right.
Yeah, I kind of have more respect for just like playing it by round and just switching your alliances as you need to, rather than like bold-faced lying and being like, you're my best friend in this competition, I'm with you to the end, and then voting for that person the very next round. You know what I mean?
And that's how I felt like Patrick was the whole game.
Yeah.
Like everything was always.
Yeah.
round
Oh,
by
but
round.
I felt like we've been good the whole game. Like, no. I haven't felt like that at
I can't
all.
believe you thought that Clay was the other vote.
Yeah.
For you.
I thought so.
No, I voted to stay.
And I think that's where the whole vote situation went wrong. Is like Kaitlyn not using her bank votes, Johnny not using his bank votes. I think there was a double bluff situation
There was.
going on.
Brody was playing a really good hand of poker. And the odds of me being able to keep Lily. Well, actually, I actually knew for a fact that it couldn't happen because Johnny told me immediately, like right before we went into
Yeah, we
vote.
would have needed Johnny's vote, yeah.
And Johnny told, and I heard him say to Brody was like, Johnny.
So why vote to keep me in if you knew that there was no possible way I was staying? I'm just
Because out of loyalty to you.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I
all
thought
it was.
too.
Which is like, you know,
It's symbolic and
hippy
it's silly,
dippy or whatever. But like, I mean,
That's how I
Yeah.
choose to that's just
Yeah.
how I prefer to play
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, that was my thing. I was like, we had, to that point, we had played really straightforward. I said, I haven't liked anyone. I volunteered to be in this position against Maddie because we were like, and we, like I said, we did have the numbers if everybody had held true, but people got spooked by Brody and said, well, obviously Brody's not a loyal alliance member. You know what I mean? I was like, do what you will, but you know what I mean? Like, obviously Brody is not going to be like the person that, you know what I mean?
But
Like,
that's why I didn't put my other banked vote in because it would have been wasted. Because I knew that you were going to go out because Johnny told me right before.
right.
we went.
If Johnny told you that, there's no possible
Yeah.
way. But if Johnny and Clay had held fast, you know what I mean, then we could have proceeded as we had planned to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they got spooked. I was irritated that it was, you know what I mean, and it was out of loyalty to Brody because I was like, oh, come on.
And
like Brody's gonna...
And I'm sure at some point in that round the votes were in your favor. You know what I mean? Like,
and same for almost all of
Literally.
They
you.
were in your favor
Like
for a
it's-
long time, but you're such a strong competitive player. It was like, take the shot now or never.
I guess for me, I was like, I've been a lot straighter with them, and I was like, if you're voting me out to then hitch your wagon to Brody, I was like, I'm gonna be a lot more honest with you than Brody is. So that's on you. You know what I mean? Like that's your decision, but you know what I mean? Like I was like, proceed. You know what I mean?
For people like Johnny and Clay.
Right, for Johnny and Clay to proceed with Brody. I mean, they're still in. So
Right, they're still
Mark,
in,
I
so
guess,
that says a lot.
Yeah.
But also, where do you think realistically they would have landed among and sticking with an alliance of you three?
I intended to honestly go through that, and I said that, I think I said this to everybody, like, the intention was to go down to just us, and then at that point, no promises. You know what I mean? That we would go down to that, and then we said eventually we'll have to turn on each other when it comes time. When there are numbers.
The three of us, Clay and Johnny.
The three of us, yeah.
Yeah, Clay, yeah.
And then the understanding that Brody was 6, but possibly the round I got out, I said Brody probably needs to go next because we're getting to the point where Brody's going to make a move. LOL. He was currently making the move. You know what I mean? I was like, it's about time for Brody to switch sides.
The move had been moved.
Right.
Right. So I was like, it's about time for Brody to switch sides. So we need to get Brody out soon. I was around late on that. I said if we let Brody keep going, like there's a point where Brody will just run to the finish line.
Yeah.
So I said he's been voting with us so far, but. Yeah, but other than Brody, I was like, the rest of us, we could, if we just hold tight, we would have the numbers to go to the end, but people, obviously, Johnny and Clay got spooked that couldn't happen, so they decided to jump.
Yeah. Alright, let's spend just a quick 2 minutes on the final 5, one by one, in alphabetical order. Let's start with Brody. Pros and cons. Shout him out.
Liar, schemer. Those are the pros. Yeah, those are cons.
Is there value in any of his gameplay?
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
very strategic.
What I respect about Brody, there's something about him that makes people in general want to work with him.
He's very
Like, even if it's just, like, you might realize later that he was lying to you, but in that moment, there's some it factor that he has in these games that makes you want to trust him.
It's because he doesn't lie 100%. It's because he only lies half the time.
Yeah.
He's telling you the truth when he says, hey, I'm going to do this. Like, well, I'm trying to think
That's
of
how
an
he wins
example.
currency, is that he
Right.
gives you an example of when he's going to tell the truth, and he's like,
I
I'm telling
did this
I'm
for
voting
you.
for
Like,
and
I
he's
went and
I'm a
told.
straight shooter, see?
I'm,
It's
yeah,
like,
I'm
yeah,
showing
sure.
you that I'm loyal to you because I went and told everybody that you were doing this with the seeds or whatever. Like, that was like, let me show
I mean,
you.
that was like deep level, like,
Yeah.
with the banked votes. Like, he kept, I'm not gonna, oh, no, he kept saying, I'm gonna definitely use my bank votes. I'm gonna use my banked votes. And I, you know.
Still has the
And
Yeah,
being
he
honest,
still has
and
it.
being
Okay.
honest though about being honest about when he was going to vote people out. That's what I
Yeah.
mean.
Well-
When he was going to, for a majority of the time, he would just tell you, like, oh,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
listen, I'm
He
sorry,
was
I
straight
gotta
up.
do it.
He was very
so
straight
he was
up.
straight up, and that is how.
Yeah.
And I found it suspect, but I know that that's like how people were like, you're like, oh well, he's telling me what he's doing, so obviously I can trust him.
Yeah. But I mean, like, what I said
10
about
seconds.
the banked votes and stuff, like, I respect that. Like, that's really smart, really strategic, you know. So.
Alright, let's move on to Clayton. Pros, cons.
I really liked how social he was and just he was likable as a person in the game, and I think that helped him out a lot, because even if you weren't working with him closely, like for me, I wasn't working with him super closely, but there was never a point where I wanted him to go, and I think it was just part of it was his personality, and he seemed pretty genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I mean, I didn't think I was allowed to watch any conversations after, so I don't really know what he did after. I don't know. I don't know how much he lied or didn't. I have no idea.
Anybody want to fill in?
Well, he definitely voted me out after saying he wouldn't. But then again, he like told me he'd give me 2 seeds, and he gave me 2 seeds. So it's just like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah, I mean,
think-
I didn't like what he did to me either, but, like, I would have done the same thing, so.
Do you think he has agency in the game?
Like an ability to like negotiate. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like he and Brody are probably in a similar spot where they strategized a lot to get there, you know, but had to cross some people to get there, obviously. You know.
Anything else to add? Alright, Johnny. Pros and cons.
Obviously, I feel like everybody just loves Johnny. Like, he just, and nobody, you know, yeah. Like, he got along with everybody. He's very sweet. So, I mean, similar to Clay, where it's like, nobody really, I think collectively, nobody really wanted to see them eliminated, and neither one of them were up for elimination, right? So, that's very telling.
I felt really connected to Johnny from the beginning, and that's why I was saying that before. Like, I'm also very naive though, so I felt like I gave Johnny all of my seeds when I got out, because I felt like out of everybody that was left in there, he was the only one that was like 100% honest with me the whole time, loyal to me the whole time. But I'm curious to know if that's like actually.
Did he vote you out?
Well, yeah, but that at that point it was like it would have been stupid for him to vote for me. Like, not stupid, but pointless.
Does he have agency in this game? Does he have influence over
I don't know.
Does he have influence over people?
over game
Like,
moves, game decisions?
was there initiative or like orchestration? You know, you all have talked about that a couple of times. Like, do you think he was involved in any of that? Like, from the beginning and the middle. You know
I
what
thought
I
he was
mean?
more passive than Brody and Clay.
Yeah.
I don't think he was
Kinda
super influential,
Yeah.
but I do think he was very honest and straightforward
Mhm.
and was able to keep a good rapport with just about everybody in the cast,
Yeah.
which is impressive.
But he's also been looking out for number one, being
Sure.
him,
Right.
the whole time. So,
Mhm.
you know, he didn't make alliances, I think, that were going to be false or like frivolous.
Yeah.
So that he didn't have to lie later.
Yeah.
Seemed like.
And I think it was like a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type thing. Because I mean, that definitely happened.
Is Maddie joining us?
Yes.
Hey, Maddie.
Maddie is our
Queen.
final 5 jury member. You can
Here.
take a seat. Alright, Maddie. Before we finish our last 2, or our last one, final 4 member, Maddie, tell us what happened real quick.
I tried to get Brody out because Brody was trying to play a game. He was he was going back and forth, and I didn't trust that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay, well, welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have 2 minutes on Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
So pros and cons for Patrick. Starting now.
I think a con for Patrick is that he thinks he's being. I sound so mean. He thinks he's being clever and sly, but he's not. He's very easy to read. So from the get-go, it seemed like he was not being straightforward, even though it was like an overly nice type thing. Whereas like Johnny, it seems like he is more genuine. I didn't get that. And he could have been being genuine for part of the time at least.
Right.
But I definitely got the vibe of like,
Yeah.
this is not real.
I was surprised that Patrick was still on when I woke up.
Yeah.
Only because I said when there were 11 people left, I was like, okay, well, obviously Patrick doesn't mean anything he says, so let's not trust Patrick anymore. Because I was like, I could see that he's like, he goes around each, you know what I mean? I was like, he's not, you have no idea if what it is, total wild card, as I said.
Right.
So like, as I was like going through my book and counting votes, I was like, we're not even going to count Patrick, because that could go either way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't even,
Right.
total wild card. So in a way, I mean, I guess that's good that he's like, interacting with other people. But like I said, I was just surprised that he was still in because I felt like, I don't know why people trusted him, but I guess they did.
I mean,
So-
he came through on something for me. Not that it mattered, and he might have known that, but like, he asked me if I wanted to go up for elimination and blah, 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 blah. He promised me a seat if I needed it. He gave it to me.
Sure.
You know.
I mean, Patrick, the whole time, never gave me a reason to. I gave Patrick all my seeds at the end, so.
Yeah, coming from me and Maddie's perspective, I think Patrick was loyal to us.
Yeah.
More so than you four, especially. So I think his game was like more loyal to us and Brody, and then whenever he would go and have conversations with y'all, he just came off as maybe shady because he was trying to seem like he was cool, but really his loyalty didn't fall with y'all.
Right.
So I think that's where y'all
But
got
he
the
was
shade.
loyal to his alliance, unlike
Exactly.
Brody. Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Alright. One last little segment. We are going to formulate our questions for the jury. So what questions do you need answered to make a decision?
I would love to see Brody be honest about like how he has played this game. Whatever questions we ask him, I don't want to ask and get fake answers. I want him to be honest and say like, yes, I like fucked with all of y'all. I admit it. This is how I got to the top. I don't want to see him lying while we're asking him questions. So those questions need to be thoughtful. Like the questions for Brody need to be thoughtful in
Right.
that way.
So is there a specific question that you want to ask Brody?
I would love to just ask him like, do you feel like you've been honest? Because we all know he hasn't been honest. So if he says yes,
Well then,
Then
is
what?
that a worthwhile question?
I don't know. I just want to see.
So,
Like, I want to see Brody own up to his strategy.
Let's try to brainstorm like a better way to ask that. You know what I mean?
In what ways have you been dishonest?
Yeah, there you go.
Perhaps. Maybe prefacing it with saying like, we as a jury are having like a hard time like kind of finding that boundary between like your strategic gameplay and like maybe just being dishonest just to kind of be a little messy, medley person. So like when are those times that like your honesty like got you forward in the game, or like you needed to depend on honesty to kind of further yourself in the game, that sort of thing. I'm trying to like.
I don't feel like he was trying to just be messy. I think he was. It was, to me, it was just unnecessary.
Yeah.
To like play both sides like that.
Okay.
So like, I would like to, instead of like, I mean, personally, instead of prefacing it with all of that, like just kind of putting him on the spot to be like, in what ways have you been dishonest, if any? How have you been dishonest?
Yeah. You were talking about it being necessary. Like,
yeah. Was it
like
necessary?
maybe like when was being dishonest necessary in order to kind of move your plan forward? You know what I mean? Versus like, I think that's kind of the crux.
Did you lie?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that did you lie, yes or no, like, he's gonna say yes. And he's gonna, I'm telling you right now, his answer's gonna be like, yes, we all lied. Like, we have to lie to get through this game. This is a social game. Like, he has the same question asked every time he gets to the jury.
When was being dishonest necessary for your survival? And when was being dishonest simply a ploy to confuse the rest of the game?
Right.
Ooh.
Perfect.
I love
Perfect.
that.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect question.
Okay.
Please remember that wording.
And
Okay.
you can
I'll
even
try.
write it down. Write it down. Let's write it down. Let's write it down.
It's
on
right here.
Generally, great questions are like, what are some strengths of your game that another player like may not have, or point out something in another player's game that you found valuable, things like that.
What was there like? What would you define as like your key moment in the game, or
Right.
or like
How
you
would
know?
you differentiate yourself from the other?
So, does anyone else have a question to ask?
I might ask them something like, how many of your original Alliance members were you able to be loyal to, or like how many times did you have to actually, I don't know, truly burn someone and say you weren't gonna vote for them and actually vote for them?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like maybe like did your original alliance like stay consistently the same throughout?
Yeah, like how many times did you feel you had to restructure your alliance?
Right.
to make
I like
it
that.
work?
I like that. I like restructuring. I love that word.
I'd like to know when did it shift and why did it shift? I'd be curious to know, like, I mean, specifically, I guess, for Johnny. Because I really thought that Johnny was with us and Clay.
Victoria, do you want to ask about specifically your 2-to-1 vote?
I mean, yeah, I guess I would love to just confirm that it was in fact Brody.
And you can ask why. I that's a fair question. I think the distinction is like why we're having this entire roundtable is for the jury not to be like, why did you get me out?
Right.
Like clearly, like it was a
It's the
smart
game,
decision.
Mama.
Like it's
Right.
a game. Like we
Right.
all have to get out. Like there's only one winner.
Yeah.
So I think asking like, what was like we had a Final Four deal.
Yeah,
like
why
why
did you
that
choose
round
it?
specifically?
Yeah.
Maddie, do you have any particular questions?
No.
No, that's okay.
I'm racking my brain on who I want to ask because it's not that I have questions about why I was voted out, like whatever. I guess my approach is going to be more about strategy or gameplay or something of that nature. But I just don't know who I want to ask and how I want to word it exactly.
You can ask like succinct questions to all three.
Okay.
That is totally fine. Like if it's a general question like what is like someone else's like another person on the jury's greatest strength, that is perfectly okay to ask all three.
Can I ask what's the worst thing you saw one of your opponents do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sure. Yeah. Well, awesome. Hopefully we will be having our final ceremony within the next 20 minutes.
Which member of the Final Four will be the last juror? Find out next time on The Greenhouse Season 2.